Today we're looking at Diamine, and I'm butchering the name, Amaranth. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Diamine Amaranth is a magenta ink. Before we get to the writing samples, let's look at some of the sciencey bits. Up first is a chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the right is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, I dunk it into water for 10 to 15 seconds, and I let the ink creep up. And here we see this is purely a magenta. It's not a mashup of colors, which is normally how colors are made. This is purely the magenta ink all the way up. Now the one on the right is done wrong. I let it dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into the water for 10 to 15 seconds, and there's no difference between the two of them, which means I expect no kind of waterproofness, but it's going to be easy to clean. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to hold up on the paper and how hard it might be to clean out of the pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Now when we look at the highlighter, what we see is that it does reactivate, it does spread out some, but it doesn't do it horribly. It doesn't make it unreadable, but I might not use this as in my notes because of how it might spread. The water definitely reactivates it. It's only there for 30 seconds. It could be pulled back up off the page and leave almost nothing behind. And pen flush does the similar thing. The only thing that's going to happen different from pen flush to water is it's going to start to eat the paper underneath and make it really kind of pilly. Now bleach is completely pulling it off the page. It didn't make the page white. There's a little residue, but it's only there for 30 seconds. It's a very brief amount of time, and I'm not wiping it. I'm dabbing it straight up. But bleach, definitely pulling it right off the page. Now this is a bell curve for normal distribution of the viscosities or flow of the inks. For the 365 inks tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.9. Now normal is the range from 2.9, an average viscosity of 2.5, but normal is 2.1 to 2.9. That is the range that normal can be. Diamine Amaranth has a viscosity of 1.67, which we can see it is a very wet flowing ink. It's going to put a lot of ink down on that page, and that means it can perform very well in a dry pen with no problems. This bell curve is on the average dry time. For the 365 inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds. Keep in mind that the range for normal on dry times is anywhere from 13 to 21 seconds. Now Diamine Amaranth has an average dry time of 17 seconds, which is exactly in the center of that normal range. So despite it being a very wet flowing ink, its dry time's normal. Very normal. It's exactly normal. In order to find my average dry time, I average my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. Now let's take a look at the writing samples. I got this ink in sample form. To keep things consistent in my writing samples, I use the Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub. I use a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at Clairefontaine. So up at the top with the 1.1, fix myself. We got no bleed, no ghosting. On the 1.1 we have no feather, no spread, no sheen, no shade. Nothing. But I like this color. I use this color to grade papers at school. I think it's great. It's not the red people are used to, so it's not so bad. I like this color. I've been using up this sample. This is the second sample I've had. I don't know that I'm going after a bottle, only because I have a number of reds. I have a great big bottle of Nikita, and it's the only reason I'm not going after a bottle. But this is a nice
color, especially for those of us that have to grade some of those papers. So while it doesn't have all those qualities, it's a very nice color. Look at that extra fine. Looking at the extra fine, no feather, no spread, no sheen, no halos, nothing special on it. Just a really nice color. This is a color that doesn't come anywhere near anything in what comes out on pens that people buy, those roller balls. This is definitely a unique color when we're looking at it's a fountain pen color. 11 seconds to dry. On a medium nib, again, we get no feather, no spread, no halo. We do have quite a few moments of shade though. We get it in we get it in quick, we definitely get it in lazy, we get it in jumps. So I love the shade that I get in a medium nib in this. 16 seconds to dry. We don't see that shade come through. You don't really expect the shade looking at the scrubby. You don't see it at all with the extra fine. You see it a little bit occur here with the medium. And in both cases, if I smudge the paper right after writing, I can see those lines. I didn't lose everything I had. Tomaway River. We got a bleed spot. But seeing those downward strokes, I think that's user error. I think that's me. I think I got a little aggressive. I think I scratched the page. That being said, it's there. But I think I scratched the page. I think that's my fault. Looking at the 1.1 at the top. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shading. Still a nice color. Not so bad. Extra fine. No feather, no spread, no halo, no shade, no sheen, no nothing. Fair color. 18 seconds to dry. It's a nice color. I'm glad students don't use Tomaway River. 18 seconds to dry. My lord. Medium nib gets darker, so we start to see a little bit of shade occur when we're dealing with the pen. Almost no shading in the writing itself. That's because with 24 seconds to dry, that ink takes all the time it can to completely level out. Makes any opportunity for shading that would have had go away. That shows up in the scrubby. Fine and medium look the same. Smears, you're not recovering. You smear it on Tomaway River, you're done. That's it. Looking at the Rhodia. No bleed. No ghosting. On camera, we see a little bit on the scrubby. I don't see it in person. You could definitely use both sides of this paper. Looking at the top, 1.1. No feather, no spread. No halo, no sheen. No shade. Nothing. Still a nice color. Like the color. Doesn't have any qualities other than that it's a very nice color. On the extra fine though, we see a color difference between the 1.1 and the extra fine. The extra fine in its performance has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, anything. Still a very nice color. Again, when I eventually get through that bottle of Nikita, I think this is going to become my new correction color. This is a very nice color. Go on to the medium, it definitely gets darker. We see some things different. But still no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. Just a nice color. And that shows up when we look at the scrubby. Both the extra fine and the medium, nothing. It levels out nothing. But on the smear, I could recover that. So what I did is I went to Crown Mill paper, the really nice paper, writing paper, laid paper, see how it winds up performing there. 1.1, sorry, off today. Very nice Crown Mill paper. Very nice Crown Mill paper. Very disappointing. Stuff costs more. Let's get that performance together. We're hurting here. Yes, we have bleeding. Yes, we have some ghosting. Now, I might be being harsh about the ghosting because it's definitely got bleeding issues. The bleeding issues, if I'm writing letters to people, this is a problem for me. I don't want to send somebody a letter that is bleeding through. Ghosting a little bit I can deal with. Bleed? No. I have to rewrite that letter. My name is on it. I don't know. So I'm disappointed in the Crown Mill paper and how it did with this ink. So looking at the 1.1, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shading. But it's a nice color. I'm going to keep coming back to that. It's a nice color. It is. Extra fine, No feather, no spread. Nothing. This is a very plain Jane kind of thing. 6 seconds to dry, which is not horrible, but the crown mill paper is a little bit more absorbent. Medium, 10 seconds to dry. Looking at the scrubby, absolutely nothing. And if you smear it, you're done. You're not getting it. Not on this paper. It's gone away. Looking at the black and red. No bleed. No ghosting. I mean, I don't think I'm seeing it. I mean, if I force it, I might, but I don't otherwise. And there's no reason to force it. Not trying to beat the stuff up, just trying to see it realistically. So pretty good. Black and red, 1.1 stub at the top. Again, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, until we change nibs. Then it is definitely lighter on the extra fine. I like the extra fine color. I don't care for the 1.1 color. I don't care for the medium color. But on the extra fine, it looks fantastic. It's got no shading in the writing, but it's a great color. Like I said, I finish out that Nikita bottle, which I'm about halfway. I finish out that Nikita bottle. This is going to be my new grading color because this is great. 8 seconds to dry. With the medium, same performance, 11 seconds to dry. We see in the scrubby, there is no such thing as shade in this ink. We don't get it in the scrubby. And on a smear, that's a hit or miss. I can see some of the lines, not some of the other lines. So I wouldn't plan on dragging your hand across this paper and thinking that you're going to go ahead and get it to survive. I don't think you're going to get it to survive. So that's what I got for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine Amaranth, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Now with Diamine Amaranth being a magenta ink, I went looking for nice blue ink, and I've chosen Krishna After Dark because it is a very nice dark blue. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I'm asking, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I'd invite you to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into a different pen and use it for an entire day. I then put it into a different pen again to take my notes for this video. My notes for this video were taken with a Noodler's Nib Creeper. So what do I think about Diamine Amaranth? It's, as a color, it's fantastic. It is my new favorite grading ink. It's not a harsh red that some people have negative associations with, but it is a standout color on the page for corrections. I like doing a lot of my own editing with this ink. It became my new favorite correction ink. But now the big question, would I buy a bottle of this ink? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not harsh as a color to look at. It is a really nice offset for some of the darker colors like black and blues. Fantastic. Thanks for watching.